Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and Chase Young is officially back.
It's about damn time.
No more almost, no more we're close, no more this and that. Chase Young is officially back, and that's a bar. Didn't mean to even do that.
You know the vibes.
But yeah, man, I mean, I'm still kind of like, I gotta wait and see, man. I gotta see it to believe it, you know what I'm saying? Once he steps foot onto the field against the 49ers this upcoming game Saturday, which I will be live streaming, of course, play-by-play analysis, all of that. Until I see him step on the field, on defense, not pregame, on defense, jersey on, helmet, pads, everything, and the ball is hiked, Brock Purdy's receiving the ball from the center, and Chase Young is going towards him, then I'll believe it. But it sounds like everybody is confirming that Chase Young will play. He's going to make his 2022 season debut against the 49ers. We really needed him against the Giants. Like I already said in one of my previous videos, the way Kayvon Thibodeau largely impacted that game, you can include the refs cheating. You can include Heineke having a bad day. You can have Scott Turner having an inconsistent day and not giving Brian Robinson more than 4 carries in the second half after he was carrying for like over 7 yards a carry. You can have the offensive line being pitiful at pass protection. You can have all of that. Leave all of that in that game. If you take away Kayvon Thibodeau and his impact in that game, we more than likely still win. He made that much of an impact. I feel like Chase Young is more talented, more naturally talented. He was a more highly coveted player coming out of college than a Kayvon Thibodeau. And it's just like, man, if we could have had Chase Young last week, and since he's going to be on pitch count this upcoming week, if he were on pitch count last week, maybe he could play a little bit more this game against the 49ers. But either way, it's all hands on deck. It's playoffs time. It's do or die. We are the 7th seed, but of course, we're only a half a game ahead of the Seahawks and the Lions. We have to pretty much win out to make the playoffs because the Lions' schedule looks easier than ours. You can argue maybe the Seahawks' schedule looks easier than ours. We have the 49ers, one of the toughest teams in the NFL right now, arguably one of the hottest. We have the Browns after that. Who knows if Deshaun Watson finally figures everything out? And of course, their run game with my Georgia Bulldog, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and the defense is nasty over there as well. They're finding a way to win games in spite of Deshaun Watson. What happens if Deshaun Watson finally remembers that he's the guy from the Houston Texans a couple of years ago that was balling out and led the NFL in passing yards, even with as terrible as his offense was? And then we got to play the Cowboys the final game of the season. And after they just lost to the Jaguars, it's more likely that that last game matters to them as well. If they beat the Jaguars and win out all the way up to the last week of the season, the last game of the season, then maybe you could see the Cowboys resting their starters, not taking that game as seriously when we need to win that game and we have to beat them. So it may have been an easier win. But now, after losing to the Jaguars, the Cowboys will probably more than likely take that last game of the season very serious against us. So we got to see what's going on, man. Either way, I'm really happy to have Chase Young back, even though he will be on pitch count. This is a huge development, and we got to talk about why. We got to talk about how he's going to impact the game, how he's going to be a part of the rotation, and of course, I'm going to give you a big injury report for the entire team as well. It's not just Chase Young, but of course, Chase Young is the focal point right now. But man, to get back a huge playmaker like that, even if he will be on pitch count, is huge for this team. Again, if he could just do even some of what Kayvon Thibodeau just did to us last week, I would be very happy. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you pull up every Saturday, Sunday, whatever day, every game day for a Commanders live stream play-by-play analysis. You laugh and learn with me. We talk about everything, even stuff outside of football while the game's going on. Make sure you pull up, and I'm speaking it into existence. We're going to make the postseason, so I will live stream during those postseason games, plural as well. Speaking it into existence, man. I'm not playing. So make sure y'all pull up every time the Commanders have any game going on, even preseason. And without further ado, let's get it. All right, so the 2020 Defensive Rookie of the Year, Chase Young, fully earned that, is coming back for his first action since November of 2021 after suffering a torn ACL. And yesterday in Chase Young's interview in the locker room with a few reporters, apparently, like, he alluded to the fact that it was a torn ACL and some more stuff, but they want to disclose that type of stuff later. They don't want to tell us yet, but it sounds like it was more than just a torn ACL. It sounds like it was a lot going on, and that's why this situation has ended up the way that it has, with us thinking, oh, he's close, and then he's not ready. He's close, and then he's not ready. Who is that close and not ready for like 5-6 weeks running in a row? Like, that's a weird situation. You would think that either you know or you don't know. But I also heard from Ian Rappaport a couple of days ago reporting that Chase Young was technically healthy in a way, but it was more so mentally for him. Is he ready? Is he ready to explode off of his knee? Can he trust his knee? That's what we've been waiting on for probably the past couple of weeks. It was health the majority of the time, but now for the past couple of weeks, maybe a few weeks, it's more so been Chase Young and where he's at mentally. Is he confident enough in his knee to be able to depend on it and explode off of it instead of, overcompensating and putting too much power and weight and explosion on his other knee, which could cause that knee to blow out or something like that. But now, apparently, Chase Young sounds confident and he's ready to go. Ron Rivera said, quote, "It's now." When Ron Rivera was asked about Chase Young, he said he practiced with confidence. He showed a willingness to stick that leg into the ground, unquote. Like I said, it was more mental games and more of a mental thing for Chase Young the past couple of weeks why he wasn't able to go. Now, of course, Ron Rivera did say in his interview today that Chase Young will be on pitch count Saturday when he makes his season debut against the 49ers. But I honestly don't care, man. Pitch count, limited snaps, don't care. I just want Chase Young on the field. First of all, to get the ball rolling, you got to walk before you run. So let's get this thing going. I mean, say if he only plays, say, 15, 20 snaps against the 49ers. Hopefully he can play like 25 against the Browns. Then hopefully he can play like 30 against the Cowboys. The sooner we get him going, the more confidence he'll get in himself to be like, okay, whatever pain it is that he has in the back of his mind, whatever lack of confidence that he has in his knee to hold up when he wants to do the things that he wants to do, whatever confidence he can even gain just from making plays. Imagine he go out there against the 49ers and gets like a sack, just gets one sack, even if it's like he's part of it, like a half a sack. Or imagine he goes out there and gets a strip sack and then he shows some pass rush moves, some counters, some of the stuff that Von Miller was trying to implant into him this offseason when he was working out with him, or some things that Jeff Zgonina or Ryan Kerrigan were trying to get into his head all throughout this offseason and throughout this season since he's been rehabbing. What if he goes out there and shows some of that stuff, that he has some pass rush moves, that he has a move outside of just a bull rush, that he has a counter if an offensive lineman is ready to match up against that bull rush, or whatever move he goes with. So not even just physically, but mentally and like the nuance of the game, if he can go out there and put a little something together, that confidence, I'm telling you, you can't even put a price tag on that. It's too valuable for him to take that and go into every game with that and build on that game after game after game, and then to take that into the off season. Just imagine how much more ready he'll be for the 2023 regular season if he were to play these last few games like he's supposed to, than if he didn't. And then he's walking out there week 1 of the 2023 regular season not absolutely sure of himself if he can do it. I mean, granted, he could have a great off season and dominate training camp, but it's still not the same as going against like Trent Williams, for example. I mean, his first time playing football in over a year will be going against Trent Williams. I don't care if he's on pitch count. I'm just happy to see him out there is my point. Also, P. Haley brought up a good point. I mean, he's in there in the locker room and everything. He said, quote, through his Twitter, "For a team that suffered a pretty awful loss on Sunday Night Football, there are some positive vibes surrounding the Commanders right now between the Pro Bowl stuff and Chase's return. Hopefully that leads to a fast start out in San Francisco," unquote. I completely agree. I mean, with Terry McLaurin and Jeremy Reeves making the Pro Bowl for the first time, Terry McLaurin should have been made it. Jonathan Allen and Tress Way making it like we expected, but who knows, because the Commanders, Washington football team, and Redskins always get hated on anyway. I could definitely see how there's a great atmosphere around the team. And then Chase Young officially being announced to make his return against the 49ers. You saw how they celebrated on the practice field when he first came back to practice. He was extremely limited. He couldn't even move that well. But the first time that he walked onto the field like a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, all of the players were like jumping up and cheering up and down, almost as if we won the Super Bowl type of thing. So imagine what type of energy he's going to bring the team just by being out there when he plays against the 49ers. Remember, he's supposed to be like our Brian Dawkins, our Ray Lewis, like the soul of the team. Heineke gives some of that as well. A few players give some of that. Terry McLaurin has stepped up big time as a vocal leader. A lot of guys do, but Chase Young is supposed to be that #1 alpha team captain, run through a brick wall for this guy type of guy for our team, period. So his energy should be infectious for the team, and they should play high spirited. And like P. Haley said, hopefully they get out to a fast start because of that, because of the Pro Bowl and Chase Young returning. I mean, that's a really nice Christmas present if you ask me. Christmas Eve, Chase Young, first time seeing him. Now, going back to Ryan Kerrigan and Jeff Zgonina, remember Chase Young was not looking too good before he even got hurt last year, so there's a lot of doubt as to whether or not is he a bust. I know a lot of people are throwing that word out there. I definitely disagree with that. Like I said, I'm surprised y'all feel that way about him, because if he was from Atlanta, y'all wouldn't be able to tell me nothing about Chase Young. I thought he was y'all hometown hero, but I see a lot of people are super down on him, I guess because of the expectations and where he's been so far. But you gotta remember, man, Chase Young is young, man. I mean, I know it's in his last name, but he actually is young for real. He's only 23 years old. He has so much time to be an elite defender and a game changer, so much time to develop. He's only 23 years old, y'all. So I just say be patient with him. It's crazy, like the difference between basketball and football. Like when Giannis was drafted, everybody was like, give him 5 years. Where football, it's like, we expect you to come in and dominate immediately, especially as a second overall pick, which I can understand. But Chase Young has elite talent. It's definitely there. Once he's able to refine a few things and stay healthy, even ignoring what he did last year before he got hurt, again, back to my main point, which I was trying to make, is that Ryan Kerrigan in the building seems to make Chase Young a better player. It seems to make this entire defensive line better. They had a great season while Ryan Kerrigan was still only on one leg the year before he left. Then last year he left, and then Sam Mills wasn't doing a good job, and so the defensive line just seemed like they underperformed mightily. Now with Sam Mills gone, we promoted Jeff Zgonina. You have Warren Sapp there in the offseason, and Ryan Kerrigan is back as like an assistant defensive line coach. And the defensive line is dominating everybody. You got Casey Toohill even in it. F.A. Obata. James Smith-Williams making plays, and of course Jonathan Allen on the Pro Bowl. Deron Payne is a Pro Bowl alternate, should have made the team straight up, should be in the Pro Bowl straight up, not an alternate. He leads our team in sacks as an interior defensive lineman. Montez Sweat is second in the entire NFL in QB knockdowns, and I don't think that's just a coincidence. I know all of those guys been had the talent, but I think Ryan Kerrigan and Jeff Zgonina being in their ear more than Sam Mills plays a huge part in that, and I feel like Chase Young is going to benefit mightily from that as well. I feel like that different style of coaching from the Sam Mills style last year is going to make him a way better player this year than he was last. Now, granted, he's only going to play in 3 games in the regular season and potentially some postseason games, so he won't be able to put together a great resume. But then again, last year he didn't have to be. He only had like 1 sack before he got hurt in November anyway. If he goes out there and gets 2 sacks, he already outperforms anything he did last year. I'm expecting big things from him. If at the very least, the bottom floor, like the worst case scenario, Chase Young and Montez Sweat are great edge setters and run defenders. At the very least, the pass rush potential on top of that, Chase Young could potentially eat a little bit more double teams, along with John Ridgeway being brought in at nose tackle to eat some double teams. That leaves Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat either one-on-ones or even being left unblocked depending on the situation. So I just see the sky's the limit with Chase Young. I know a lot of people are down on him. Again, some people are throwing the B word out there, that buzzword. I don't believe that. I really think Chase Young is going to come out here and ball out. He may not ball out against the 49ers, but I believe in his talent to be a true game changer, and like our very own Brian Dawkins and Ray Lewis, potential Hall of Famer for years to come. I personally do. We'll see how that goes. Now, sadly, you know, he is an Ohio State fan. I'm sad that my Georgia Bulldogs got to do that to him in a couple of weeks, but it is what it is. But Chase Young spoke on the situation. He said, quote, "Every day I feel like I'm getting better. Every day I feel like I'm getting stronger, more comfortable. Just got to keep continuing to do that." Young said he definitely felt closer to playing last week, and the team can certainly use him, even if it's just on pitch count. Young has remained confident in the plan to get him back on the field, and that patience has paid off. Rivera said, quote, "A lot of positive things. He felt really good this week. He practiced with confidence. He had a good week, so we're pretty excited about that," unquote. Ron Rivera also spoke on Young's confidence in his need to be able to plant and protect himself on the field, and how that's been a main priority for determining his availability. Again, it's been a lot of mental stuff lately, as reported by Ian Rappaport a couple of days ago. But Rivera said that Chase Young was able to cut loose this week, and then the visit he had with Dr. Andrews last week was one of the final steps towards being on the field. His talent will be of use to a defensive line that has been playing playing well in the second half of the season, and regardless of how many snaps he has, he will help disrupt the 49ers' talented offensive line. And which takes me back to the point about Trent Williams. I mean, to not play football for over a year, now you got to go against arguably the best left tackle in football. And the 49ers have one of the better O-lines in football, period. So, I mean, Chase Young couldn't have come back at a better time for us right now. I wish he would potentially play more snaps, but boy, this is probably the best O-line that our defensive line is going to face all year. And I felt like they underperformed against the Giants last week, who weren't really good. So I need them to go out there and ball out and dominate against the 49ers, which again is a huge ask because the 49ers arguably have the best O-line that we'll play against all season. But Chase Young should be able to help with that. Now, before we get up out of here, also, Cameron Curl and Benjamin St-Juste are questionable for the game. From everything that I've seen and heard, it sounds like Cameron Curl and Benjamin St-Juste, we can expect them to play. I think they're leaning towards playing, but who knows? When guys are questionable and not declared to be certified in, like Chase Young is already declared to be in, not questionable. We know things get a little weird, but I think Cameron Curl and Benjamin St-Juste should end up playing. Of course, Sadiq Charles is out still with a concussion, but he's depth anyway, so that shouldn't impact us much anyway. So I'm really excited. It sounds like everybody else is good to go. Everybody else that was questionable, you had Antonio Gibson, Andrew Norwell, Brian Robinson, a lot of other guys on the practice report, limited in practices, full participants, all of that type of stuff. It sounds like the only people we even kind of have to worry about are Cameron Curl and Benjamin St-Juste. And again, I'm confident that they play, but who knows? Also, Samuel Cosmi, Jamin Davis, Curtis Hodges, they may be able to play as well. Curtis Hodges hasn't been activated to the 53-man roster yet, but he's been activated and upgraded from IR. We'll see. And then again, Jamin Davis and Samuel Cosmi weren't even on the practice report this week, even with the injuries that they had to deal with. So they're a full go as well. So we're good, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Let me know how you feel about this whole Chase Young situation. How do you feel about the Cameron Curl and Benjamin St-Juste situation as well? Do you feel like, is it even worth bringing back Chase Young this season, or should we just sit him for the rest of the year? How do you feel about everything? And of course, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Please leave a like on the video. I'm out.